Spectre came out about a week ago, so let's talk about Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible is directed by Brian De Palma, written by David Koepp and Robert Towne. It's based on the series created by Bruce Geller and stars Tom Cruise, Jon Voight, Emmanuel Bayart, and Vanessa Redgrave. And in Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, is this agent for the Impossible Missions Force, which is the spy agency, and he finds himself on the run from the IMF because he is framed for killing his entire team while on a mission to recover this list containing the identities of the IMF agents. Now, I was really excited to go and check out Mission Impossibles 1 to 3 because at the time of my watching Rogue Nation, I had only seen Ghost Protocol, but I was really surprised that I kind of had an indifferent reaction towards this movie because, in my opinion, it doesn't really tell a good story, although I will say that the spy stuff in it is great, as is the entire cast. First of all, major kudos to the fact that this movie still has special effects that hold up even 19 years after it came out, especially the makeup effects for the face masks as well as just all their gear, all their tech, which really looks real and genuine with the exception of the internet, because the way they portrayed the internet here is, it was the 90s. I mean, even the green screen here still looks good. There are some sequences here that are very reliant on green screen, and some of them look a lot better than the green screen scenes we have nowadays. And the musical score here by Danny Elfman is good, but in terms of music, I really have to bring up the updated theme song here by Bono and The Edge from U2, which I think is a great example of how to update a musical theme for a new era while still respecting the original, because the original theme song by Lalo Schifrin really sounded like a late 60s to early 70s kind of spy theme, but this one is faster, it's more electronic, it's really, really good. There are also lots of great suspenseful sequences here edited by Paul Hirsch, and editing in these spy kind of movies is some of my favorite kind of editing because of the way they deliberately stretch out time and cut to different shots just to increase tension, which is fantastic. Especially in that sequence where Tom Cruise, that iconic sequence where he has to stay in a harness and not touch the ground and he's suspended by wires, it's fantastic stuff. And in terms of acting, the entire cast here really came to play. Tom Cruise really slips into this role of an action hero very, very well. He's not like a huge guy, but he still has a believable physicality for a spy, and he injects just enough drama into his performance to make the character of Ethan Hunt kind of breathe a little more. But really, everyone here makes a mark no matter how brief their screen time. Kristen Scott Thomas is good, Emilio Estevez, Ving Rhames, Jean Reno, Emmanuel Bayart, Vanessa Redgrave, and especially Jon Voight, who really comes across as this father figure early on, which is very important for where his character goes. And Brian De Palma as a director really has a great feel for the paranoia and tension that I think spy movies nowadays are lacking, and I think all spy movies need to have this sense again. And the way he does action in this movie is very economic as well. There aren't any big shootouts or whatever, and I like that. However, like I said, my reaction to this movie was kind of indifferent because I did have issues with it. For one, the plot really does get convoluted. And no, I don't mean that I didn't understand the story, because I did. It's just that I feel like the plot lays on too many unnecessary details to kind of intentionally complicate things when I don't think that is necessary. And for me, the editing really could have taken its time with exposition and the development of clues that Ethan finds, because I feel like we as an audience are suddenly expected to take in all this information really quickly. And I'm not doubting the intelligence of the average audience member. I'm just saying that there's a more efficient way of delivering information. But really, my issue here is with the script. The story here doesn't really feel like a good introduction to Mission Impossible. It feels like we've been dropped into the middle of a really long episode. So as a result, like, there's not a lot of emotion, in my opinion, with the story here. You don't really feel any stakes that you care about. And the characters also don't really have, like, well-developed relationships, I think, because there's a lot of weight between certain characters, but the script never delves into that. It's just kind of content leaving these characters as kind of like good guys, bad guys. And I don't know what it is about Brian De Palma, but he has a really cold touch with his movies, which works for some of his movies, but for here, I feel like I could have used a little more involvement, so, you know, watching this movie isn't necessarily a fun experience. But in the end, I'd still say that Mission Impossible is an okay movie. If you're gonna check this out after watching Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, be warned that it's very different from what Mission Impossible is now. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Mission Impossible. Have you guys seen it? What do you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.